How we doing, everybody? It's your guy Wardy here. It's July 19th, 2025, and it's a special day in Mets land. And the reason why it's special is because the captain, David Wright, is officially going to be anointed in Mets history forever, as his number 5 will be retired at Citi Field just mere hours from the time of this video first coming out. So make sure you guys are on the lookout, as we will be live right around 2:40 p.m. Eastern for our David Wright ceremony live stream, as we'll be live reacting in real time together to David Wright's ceremony. We'll all get emotional as Mets fans and talk about our favorite moments of David Wright during his long tenure time as captain for this amazing club. But speaking about the Amazings, we have a lot to get into in today's latest Big Mets Update segment, because while they did drop their first game of a 3-game set against the Reds this past night by a final score 8-4, that I broke down in great length how much I was not okay with Carlos Mendoza's lack of proper bullpen decision making, that you guys can check out in last night's post-game show. Today we're going to get into a lot that has to do with what is working right for this Mets team when looking at the farm. Specifically, Jonah Tong, who easily looks like one of the best pitching prospects, not just for the Mets, but in all Major League Baseball. How did Tong fare in his latest outing there after looking great there in the Rising Star, that all-star game there where you have the young prospects debut there and represent their respective teams throughout this break? Well, Tong picked up right where he left off, which has now begged the question, when is this man going to get a look at the Major League level? Could Jonah Tong be considered at least in some way, shape, form, or fashion before the season concludes? We're going to get into everything on Tong, as well as Mitch Voit, the Mets' first round pick at 38th overall. We'll get into Mr. Voit and what the Mets love so much about him, as he made his Citi Field debut, his first official promo day, being that key first signing by the Mets there from the draft, as we know. We'll get into Voigt's key comments with the media, take a couple looks at his early swings there, taking BP at Citi Field, and what is next for him to begin his young professional career. We also have some key updates regarding guys like Jesse Winker and how is he faring with his injury status right now. Right back on the injured list. Max Kranick looking like his season has now come to an end, but what kind of procedure will he receive is what we'll expand on, as well as Jose Butto. How is he faring as of late in his rehab? When can we expect him back? And Francisco Alvarez, El Tro, everybody. The man continues to tear the cover off the baseball, which now begs a question as well. When is Alvy getting the call? We have plenty to break down and then some, everybody. So sit back, relax. Let me know all your key takeaways in the comments down below to today's video that we're going to break down at Metsland here. And as always, shout out to our amazing sponsors that make the show happen, like our great friends at SeatGeek. Simply make sure that you guys utilize our promo code, what you guys will see there, and Wardy10, because then you guys will get 10% off your next ticket purchase there. And as you guys can see in the SeatGeek app beside me right now, it's so easy to navigate. They have a grading scale of 1 to 10, red to green, meaning that if you buy a ticket in the 1 through 4 range in the red, it's not a good bang for your buck and you're overspending. If you're in the 7 through 10 range in the green, it's a great bang for your buck and you should certainly spend there in the SeatGeek app. So if you need Mets tickets, concert show tickets, comedy show tickets, you name it, SeatGeek certainly has you covered, everybody. Utilize that link down below in the description, Wardy10, for 10% off your next ticket purchase. Hey Mets fans, if you love diving deep into the numbers like WAR or ERA, then you absolutely are going to love what today's video sponsor Moomoo brings to your investing game. Think Moneyball, but this time for your portfolio. I'm beyond excited to share that Moomoo, the proud trading platform of the New York Mets, is here to level up your investing. Moomoo is a global trading platform currently serving over 25 million users in markets like the United States, Canada, Singapore, and Japan. Whether you're just starting out or if you're a more seasoned trader, Moomoo's app and desktop platform offers commission-free trading on stocks, ETFs, and options, no contract fees either. So plus, you get premium tools, guys, whether it's going to be the institutional grade analytics, Morningstar research, and analyst ratings, all free for funded users. And right now, Moomoo is doubling down for Mets fans. Sign up through my exclusive link down below, make a qualifying deposit, and get up to, yes, 60 free stocks, plus not 1 but 2 Mets Suite tickets. Not to mention, Moomoo customers can get free tickets to all Monday home games at Citi Field, and who knows, you may even see me at a game. And with 0 commissions and 0 contract fees on stock and ETF options, you keep more of your wins. Are you guys ready to trade smarter? Download Moomoo now and swing for the financial fences. And shout out once more to Moomoo for being an amazing sponsor here on the platform. Alrighty, folks, as we hop right back into this, let's waste no time and let's first get into here the latest in Mets land. And let's begin this discussion with what has been cooking so right there in the farm that has everything to do with the Mets' young stud, potential ace caliber starter here, and Mr. Jonah Tong, as he continues to just look like one of, if not the best pitching prospect that Major League Baseball as a whole has to offer everybody. As you guys and gals can see right here, right now, Jonah Tong just had himself yet another oh-so-dominant outing there for the Rumble Ponies. In 5.2 innings at just 73 pitches, he allowed a measly 2 hits, 2 walks, 7 strikeouts, including striking out the first, 4 to 6 batters that he saw. So he was just unbelievable, doing his best Shaman I impression, striking out everybody early to begin his start. 0 earned runs and is now down to a 1.71 ERA. Not only is that the best that we see among eligible starters there in AA, but Tong also has more strikeouts than anyone in all of the minor leagues. This man has been an absolute man possessed right now, what the Mets are getting at the minor league level. And if Jonah Tong continues to do the things that he's doing right now, it's not so much an emphasis about, oh, okay, what is this guy getting a look at Syracuse, as it is Jonah Tong has a stuff to make everyone, including yours truly, believe that he can impact the Mets for the better. And when I think of Jonah Tong's potential implementation, one thing that I think of right away is the old David Stearns philosophy. For those that don't remember, David Stearns, going back to his time as GM and then Pobo of the Milwaukee Brewers, was known for allowing top prospects to make their debuts even in contending seasons for the Brewers, where they would first come out of the bullpen. And the reason why I emphasize that is you see the Mets drop another game in large part not just because of a lack of offensive upside, but a bullpen management that was far from superior when you allow Alex Carrillo to give up 3 home runs and then also throw a wild pitch to walk a batter before getting through Carlos Mendoza's skull to say, hey, let's go ahead and bring in someone else. There's been a complete lack of management the past month plus. That's an understatement. The Mets have been in dire need of quality arms to be utilized in both the rotation and the bullpen. And even with the expectation that David Stearns is going to go ahead and add plenty batters, or just, I shouldn't say batters, but players in general from the pitching to the offensive end that we broke down in great length in previous content on the platform. If you guys didn't check out our video that dropped a day ago, we got into the latest rumblings as the Mets are in the market for one of the best southpaw relievers in baseball currently, and Danny Colon. We also got into how the Mets are front runners currently for Mitch Keller, as well as our top 10 to top 12 trade target video there leading up to the deadline, all dropped over the past 48 to 72 hours. Check it out at your leisure and should you guys have interest. But going back to Tong here, everybody, what is there to love? It's about a guy that I really think that can impact this team as soon as the season. And just like we saw a guy like Corbin Burns, when he made his debut there for the Brewers, he was first coming out of the bullpen. And that was something that Stearns wasn't opposed to doing. And you have to wonder, as the Mets continue to allow themselves to lose games in direct hand because of their bullpen costing them, what are they going to go ahead and say, you know what, one of Jonah Tong, Brandon Sproat, Noah McLean, let's just give the kid an opportunity to see if they can run with it at all. Because at absolute worst, you might slightly stunt their development this season, but I really don't think you're going to hurt much of their confidence, because they know very well what's going to be like getting to the major league level. You know, obviously, we just want to see you go out and perform, but if you don't, it's okay. We know that you still have a lot more seasoning to do at the major league level. So I would definitely love to hear from you Mets fans in the comments down below. Do you think the Mets have reached a point with their pitching staff this season that, given how dominant a guy like Jonah Tong has been, as you guys are watching the highlights right now, Noah McLean is sitting right around, not even a 2.5 ERA in Syracuse, and Brandon Sproat's past 4 starts have been brilliant, in large part because of working one-on-one with Francisco Alvarez. I would love to hear all your thoughts about that in the comments down below, everybody. Is Jonah Tong, what else does this man need to prove? This is a broken record. I firmly believed that Tong was going to get called up there to Syracuse weeks ago, and that never happened. So I'm like, okay, how much longer are you going to let the guy rot in AA before making that adjustment? Because AA is deemed by many, if not most, as the hardest level in the minor leagues for a player to perform. The main reason for that is when you're in AA, you have more of your top echelon prospects, you have more of your MLB pipeline top 100 guys, versus at the AAA level, it's a mix of fringe prospects that have yet to fully break out, guys that never break out and stay true, quad A players there at the AAA level, grizzled veterans that no longer are major league caliber consistently, but they can still rake or do well in the pitching end to be formidable options at the AAA level. Don't get me wrong, there's still talent in Syracuse for sure, but Tong has faced more than enough high-quality top prospects at the AA level alone to suggest let's at least give this kid an opportunity in the bigs this year and see if he can run with it. Because right now, Jonah Tong, what hasn't he done to prove it to Mets and us fans that this guy should be getting a look at the major league level? The simple answer to that is he's proven everything and then some. And we just talked about how Jonah Tong has been brilliant in AA. Well, not only has Noah McClain looked fantastic that we've seen in AAA, but so has Brandon Sproat. And as I mentioned, a big factor into Brandon Sproat's success has been the brilliant frame job and catching from Francisco Alvarez. And as we talk about Francisco Alvarez, everybody, let's not lose sight in the obvious fact that Alvarez is inevitably returning to this Mets team. Whether he gets officially called up later today there before the David Wright's big day or sometime after this Red Series, it goes without saying that if Francisco Alvarez is not called up within the next 3 to 7 days for this club, we will all be jaw-dropped and head-scratching as to why that is. Because Alvarez has done everything. And Mendoza's already said in his pre- and post-game in regards to Alvarez that he's done everything. He's making it hard for us with the decision-making. And the fact that he wasn't caught up alone when the Mets made their initial roster moves there leading into Game 1 of that Red Series was telling that they still want to give him a little bit more looks there. But what does Alvarez do when he's still playing there? He's hitting bombs. What you guys are seeing is a collection of pretty much all, if not most, home runs Alvarez has hit in the minor leagues so far this season since being sent down. And now he's up to 9 and right around 14 or 15 or so games that we see at the time of this video coming out, including another bomb that he hit this past night as the Mets faltered 8-4 there against the Reds. So Alvarez's home run swing has stayed consistent. He looks more like his old self for 2023. And as JPR Ancibia, the former MLB catcher who is been turned to a Mets coach there in AAA Syracuse, has spoken nothing but glowingly of Alvarez that we highlighted over the past week or so on the platform and what he's doing right to uplift Alvy on his offensive and defensive game versus to make him feel down on himself or to overthink the way that many of us believe Eric Chavez, one way or another, made Alvarez feel at some point throughout his young career. So I know the idea of Alvarez coming back to the bigs is exciting, but you hate the idea of Chavez and Barnes getting their hand on this man in his swing again, because what we're seeing now is power. It's not just power for the opposite way. As we know, Alvarez hit that line drive home run in one of his first games back against the Nationals, and then has only hit like 1 or 2 home runs since then at the major league level because he's constantly going opposite field, hitting for contact and not hitting for power, pulling the baseball, which is what led him to his 20-plus home run campaign at the young age of 21. An anomaly, mind you, because no catcher is doing that at his age there in the 2023 season, but Alvarez was. He was not only a fantastic bat when looking at the slugging. Yes, we know he can be very Jekyll and Hyde in the swing and miss, but that's going to happen for a big slugger like him who has plenty of flaws in his approach still. And defensively, Alvarez has continuously declined since that 2023 season, but since starting this stint in AAA, he's been north in the 100th percentile in framing. And now that framing's end all be all, his blocking baseballs, getting out in front and getting those throws to second and third are just as important, if not more important, you could argue. But to have these defensive metrics go from what they were in the bottom 8% in baseball before being sent down in Alvarez to now being all the best in the minor leagues is telling that he's clearly making proper adjustments for the better. Now the great question is, how's Alvarez going to look back at the major league level once he returns? And what I will say is that Alvarez carries his confidence and power over at all, like we've seen in years past with him, then the Mets automatically add a bat that becomes something out of what we initially thought would be little to nothing for him, given his lack of production so far this season coming back from that hamate bone injury. Even with Luis Torrens having himself a nice, productive 2-for-4 game, including an RBI and a first pitch swinging there in the 9th inning with 2 outs against the Reds in that 8-4 loss, Torrens and Sanger will only get you so far, and the Mets know just how much upside they have in Alvarez. And folks, it's an abundance. Have to make sure that you do not allow this man to rot in AAA for too long. So again, when is Alvarez going to be getting called up? The great reality is that that should be happening in the coming days. If it will not happen in this Red Series, the expectation is that it will certainly be happening sometime next week for this New York Metropolitan team. Let me know, guys, your thoughts on Alvarez, what you've liked versus what maybe you haven't liked about him since being sent down the minor leagues, if you have any criticism to share or just positivity to get into. But to go now from talking about Francisco Alvarez, everybody, let's now get into breaking down what is happening on the latest regarding Mr. Mitch Voit. Because in case you guys don't know Mitch Voit is the top draft pick that the Mets just had that we saw this past I don't even want to say, day. It was just over the past, week or so, going back to the MLB draft. And let's actually take a look real quick. Apologies for my audio getting maybe a little echoey just for a second, as I'm currently fixing this graphic for you guys, so that way he is not cut off the way that you see right now. But we did just see Mr. Mitch Voit speak with the media, and I'm going to play the entire interview, guys, because it's only around like 3 minutes long or so for you all to check out. I want you guys to hear from Mitch Voit himself to see how he's feeling at Citi Field for the first time as a New York Met now, and what he potentially has to offer for the Mets as soon as this year. One looking at what is the game plan for Mitch Voit and his young development there. Drafted 38th overall out of Michigan as a two-way player, but it's going to be utilized solely as a position player going forward. At least that is what the current Mets plans are, according to Mitch himself. Let's listen up, everybody.
What do you feel about Sunday night?
Oh, wow. Both are incredible, and I've just been filled with excitement since Sunday night.
What was the feeling like when you finally signed that deal? I guess what kind of went through your mind and said, what was that like?
I was extremely happy, but I also understood that it's time to work.
Have you gotten any word on what the next steps are, immediately going forward these upcoming weeks and months?
Yeah, so I'm going to head down to Port St. Lucie after this, and then we're going to take a deep dive into everything.
What does that mean?
Well, I'm going to find out pretty soon.
Fair. Do you expect to play games this summer for an affiliate?
Like I said, I don't necessarily know the next steps heading forward, but I know get down to Port St. Lucie, go through this player development plan that we have in place, and from then on, I guess we'll find out.
You had any memorable interactions with anybody here in particular?
Yeah. I was in the cages, and I got to see the beginning of Soto's routine, and he's very surgical, you could say.
And what was that? Did you get to talk to him? What was that interaction?
Yeah, I got introduced to Juan Soto, great guy, really friendly to me, and I'm happy. Everyone's been great to me.
Do you feel like there's some of the strengths of your own swing and maybe kind of what you were trying to display out there just over the years?
I mean, honestly, that was more of a pre-game BP kind of mindset. I guess I stepped into the turtle and all of a sudden went back into getting ready for a game in college. But really just being able to let the ball get deep and improve my swing decisions that way. But yeah, my attitude is get the barrel on the ball.
What's going to be your first big purchase with a new contract?
Yes, so obviously I've gotten that question a lot, but before anything happened, I always knew on this day I would get my mom a Chanel purse, and so I had given that to her on draft night. And I'm just so thankful for everything my mom and dad did, and that was just, I guess, my first way of giving back.
How did she react?
She cried. Yeah. It was so awesome though.
As you were introduced to kind of the Mets organization through the scouting process, what maybe struck you about any conversations you had with them kind of pre-draft?
Yeah. I know everybody wants to win, and they've all been just absolutely amazing to me.
Chris Gross said Monday that they talked with you about the Thursday celebration and not an issue. Just what was that conversation like, and what was your message to them in that selection process?
Obviously, we addressed it, and we had conversations about it. But, I mean, you guys saw what I said online. That describes it. Spur of the moment doesn't describe me at all.
They also announced you, today when they signed you again as a two-way player. Have you gotten any clarity on what that might look like going forward?
So, yeah, our plan will be to develop me as a position player. But I've said this before, if it comes down to it, and the only opportunity is to be a pitcher in the big leagues for the New York Mets, yeah. But our plan going forward will be as a position player.
Is pitching something that you feel like you can kind of turn off and on quickly if you're not maybe throwing regularly and getting developed as a two-way guy?
I mean,
like just kind of the instincts and the thinking of it?
Obviously, that part of baseball never goes away, and all your experience as a pitcher never goes away. So it'll always be there in my back pocket.
Final thing I have to say on Mitch Voit is how much I love the trend that David Stearns has currently had in his first 2 years at leading the charge of the Mets draft. What have we seen? The commonality with the first pick that they make in the draft being clearly a college kid versus a high school kid, right? A more polished batter that will get him potentially closer to the major league level versus what Billy Upward did in 2023. His first selection was Colin Houck that we saw out of high school initially. So last year in David Stearns' first year as Pobo, Mets draft Carson Benj out of OSU, outfielder that I love. So my favorite prospects currently in the organization, if not my current favorite, and for great reason. He is skyrocketing in the farm that we saw from the Brooklyn A Cyclones all the way up there to now the Double-A Rumble Ponies, and it will not be long before he finds himself in Syracuse. Very well may happen before the season even ends, meaning that Benj could impact this team as soon as sometime next season. That is how good he's looking. Now you add in Mitch Voit, who's going to solely focus on his hitting now, the way he did last season when he had far and away his best offensive year, batting I think it was 340 or so. Tremendous slug. Love the power. Love the triple ability. Love the ability to steal bags. Uber athletic player. What isn't there to like about Mitch Voit? Seriously. So I'm excited to see what he will do if he gets any consideration to actually get into ball games in St. Lucie, like the media asked him, that he has yet to find out for when he actually goes down to PSL and go on from there. But last but not least, everybody, our final topic that we have to get into today is the latest roster moves. As you guys can see here, Max Kranick's season is sadly over, as he will be having either Tommy John surgery or a reconstructive, tendon surgery that is similar, but should be a faster recovery process. And I hope that's the case for Kranick, because Buddy is only like 16 months removed or so from the last time he had Tommy John surgery. Isn't that long ago, which is what ended his tenure with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And that's why the Mets ultimately claimed him off waivers and kept him in the organization last year after he looked great in spring, but then went down with injury and then kind of just wasn't the same and stayed as a mainstay in the minor leagues. Kranick was helping big time carry the weight of this bullpen when a lot of other guys weren't to begin this season. Between himself and Huascar Brosman, they were doing great things, and he was a rubber arm thrown in various situations for this Mets club, but for the better. So I'm wishing Kranick the absolute best and speedy recovery. I actually reached out to him as soon as we found out the news, and he got back to me right away. Obviously, he's bummed out. How can you not be? But knowing that Kranick will hopefully come back stronger than ever is an enticing thing. I just hope that he stays with the Mets as part of the organization as it happens, as a guy who grew up a New York Mets fan from Scranton, Pennsylvania. Again, love Max Kranick, love the story. Truly hope and believe that this will not be the last that we see of him with the Mets at the major league level, but it will be for at least in the 2025 season. Jesse Winker received an epidural, and no, he's not pregnant, everybody. He's not, in hours away from having a pregnancy situation happen. He had one because of the fact that he's having such bad lower back issues. And because of that back inflammation, tightness, whatever they're labeling it right now, hasn't really gotten better. They give him that shot, numbing the area for a bit, and he's still 7 to 10 days away from baseball activities, according to Mets skipper Carlos Mendoza. So for those wondering, Wardy, are the Mets going to add at least one bat by this year's deadline? Losing a guy like Winker without any immediate timetable is a further reason as to why they will. And there's one batter that sticks out like a sore thumb as a prime Jesse Winker replacement. Not that I want to see Winker overly replaced, but at the same time, the most important possibility is availability when it comes to players and their potential impact for a club. If Jesse can't stay on the field, the Mets need to figure out a guy who can. And Cedric Mullins checks off every box as a lefty platoon DH option that can play the outfield and actually not hurt his oblique, hopefully knock on wood right away, because he's a proficient defender and center. When he's right, he will platoon time there with Tyrone. And a guy like Jeff McNeil, he also can steal bags at a far greater rate than Winker. He also has had the home run accolades greater than Winker when we look at the power so far this season, especially. He kind of checks off every box. It's just an upgraded version of Jesse Winker, with the exception of Jesse bringing the vibes. It's what we love so much about Jesse. It's the personality, it's the vibes, and the ability to clutch up in certain high leverage situations. Love Winker, and I don't want to see him gone, but sadly he is gone because Buddy just cannot stay healthy and to stay on the field. A guy who's working his way back from injury and is progressing, however, as a man who's been platooning at DH this season, that being in Starling Marte. For those that don't know, Marte went down, unfortunately, with that same knee issue he had right before the All-Star break ended, that put him on the injured list. But Marte is still progressing, still a couple of days away before getting more involved in baseball activities, but is ahead on the timeline right now in comparison to Jesse Winker there. And as we see from the official Mets roster moves, again, Brooks Raley has been officially activated. That is tremendous news. For those that don't know, Raley, he was the Mets' dominant lefty option, their bullpen in 2023, pitched to a sub-3 ERA that season for the Mets in their bullpen, had 8 scoreless outings to begin the 2024 season before going down with the reconstructive Tommy John surgery. Now at the young age of 37, and now after pitching over 9 scoreless innings there as rehab assignments, Raley is ready to go. And as he said it best with the media earlier today, he really felt like a top prospect, the way that he was getting gassed up in the minor leagues in his rehab and performing well. Speaking of the minor leagues, everybody, Paul Blackburn is continuing his rehab there in the FCL. He did pitch a couple innings that we just saw over the past day. So did Jose Butto. He got his looks in Syracuse this past day. Butto will be returning to this Mets bullpen soon. The Mets just want to give him a little bit more length in Syracuse before returning from his IL stint, which was not because of not an injury, but what was actually a health issue when it came to an illness. So not exactly sure what happened with Butto there, but we look forward to seeing him returning because we can never have enough arms for this bullpen right now. And Richard Lovelady, Dickie Lovelady, what is there to love about Lovelady, if we're being honest, which is why he's been DFA'd by the Mets for the second time already this season. That is what we have on the transaction front, everybody. We will see Raley make his Mets debut potentially as soon as today at the time you guys watching this mainly against the Reds in Game 2 on that David Wright ceremony day, everybody. So once more, make sure you guys are chiming into the content as we will be live there 2:40 p.m. Eastern later on today at the time of this video dropping, that you guys will see July 19th. We're going to be live reacting, getting emotional together as Mets fans as we witness the David Wright retirement ceremony. And speaking of that ceremony, according to Howie Rose and Keith Rad, doing a great job on radio, always for the New York Mets, they did state this past night that, you know, they're really not expecting Lindor to be introduced as captain the way that a lot of us, including myself, were initially believing to be. And they're saying that the leaked video that went out and went all across social media that we even promoted a couple days ago is something that MLB is actively trying to figure out, like, how that happened. So for one reason or another, they're either trying to save face and they're going to surprise us with a captaincy announcement, but it wouldn't be too much of a surprise because many of you guys kind of expect it, or they are being honest, and I think it kind of is the latter, and we're not going to see Wright introduce him, and that's perfectly fine. You know, I said going back to last summer when the Wright ceremony was first announced that if it's going to happen, I would love to see Lindor get past the torch. I think that'd be an awesome moment to do it, but at the same time, I completely understand how it might be a terrible moment because you don't want to take away from David's big day in the spotlight all about him. David is just such a selfless person, a human being, that I could see Wright being the type of person to actually advocate himself to want to pass the torch live in real time there at the ceremony. So we'll wait and see, but if it doesn't happen, that's fine. Again, why did that video come out in the first place is the question, because it was deleted after the fact by MLB that we saw there, and no, it wasn't a fake video. I actually watched the video after clicking the link from the MLB link initially on the site to tell you that it was legit, and I watched it fully on X as well when it was initially screen recorded and put out there. So regardless, we'll soon find out what happens on the Lindor front with captaincy, but all we know is that July 19th, it is a big day. It is the biggest day because it's David Wright's big retirement night. So guys, I will see you all there for that. Before we get out of here, let me leave you with the following, which is once more promotion for our very exciting Wardy Day, less than 2 weeks away, but make sure to hit that like and subscribe on your way out. Let us know your further thoughts in the comments down below. And as always, no matter what, let's go Mets, baby. See you guys next time. It's Wardy here, and as you can see, we are at gorgeous Citi Field, and folks, you can get the ultimate, the prime experience with your guy Wardy at our first ever official Wardy Day. August 1st, Mets, San Francisco Giants there for the evening game. The day after the MLB trade deadline, you, your friends, your loved ones, select Mets fans will get the ultimate experience with your guy Wardy. Not only are we going to hang out at the ball game together, but folks, look at this seating. We're going to be live here in the left field lounge. You guys will be able to chop it up with your guy Wardy. We're going to be debating as to who's the best pitcher of the rotation outside of Kodai Senga. We're going to be talking about who's the next best prospect to get called up. How do we feel about the trade deadline acquisitions? And guys, as you get back up here then, we are going to be giving you a $18 drink voucher, and with that drink voucher, you guys are going to be able to hit up the bars that we have right outside of here. So easy, so accessible. Again, prime seating, a truly fantastic experience. Our first ever Wardy Day here at Citi Field, guys, where you will get a chance to hang out with your guy Wardy. And the best part too, not only is it this amazing lounge in left field that you guys will hang out with me, but we're going to be on the field, pre-game access there for a group photo op. So I hope to see you, all you amazing Mets fans there. Click the link if you guys haven't already there to check out our available tickets, and let's go Mets. And not only are we going to be sitting here throughout the course of the ball game, you guys can also check out these seats that we have access to all here in the bar area here, right at the Milagro, where you guys can utilize your $18 drink voucher. Again, this is going to be at Wardy Day, August 1st, 2025. Oh wait, yeah, almost forgot. It's also fireworks night. Bang! Hope to see you guys there.